If you're seeing this, God is about to change everything for you. Listen closely. There comes a moment in every person's life when the world's noise grows too loud and the heart whispers, there is another way. A way that doesn't drain your spirit. A way that doesn't force you to chase what was never meant to be yours. A way that doesn't break you, but builds you from the inside out. Maybe you've tried everything people told you. Maybe you've followed every rule, every strategy, every shortcut this world promised, and yet your hands remain empty while your heart grows heavy. But hear this, God's path to wealth has never looked like the world's path. When God lifts you, He lifts you in a way no man can block, no system can deny, and no circumstance can limit. There is a divine blueprint, a spiritual architecture, a higher path that doesn't just fill your bank account, but strengthens your soul, sharpens your vision, and awakens the winner that was always inside you. Today, you are not here by accident. You are here because heaven is drawing you toward alignment, toward purpose, toward abundance, toward the kind of wealth that carries peace, clarity, and unstoppable favor. This is the moment your inner world shifts. This is the moment your spirit says, yes, I'm ready. 5 keynotes. There is a truth most people never understand until life forces them to slow down. Wealth built on human timing may come fast, but it rarely stays, while wealth built on God's timing arrives with a foundation that nothing can shake. When you begin to see this difference, your entire perspective on success, prosperity, and progress transforms. Because when God is writing the script of your increase, your growth does not depend on the world's speed. It depends on heaven's precision. Think about it. How many times have you pushed, forced, struggled, or rushed yourself into something simply because you felt you were running out of time? How many nights have you stayed awake worrying that you're behind, that you're too late, that others have overtaken you, that life is slipping through your fingers? This pressure is not from God. It's from a world obsessed with speed, comparison, and noise. But God is not interested in rushing you. He is interested in preparing you. God's timing is not slow, it is strategic. When God delays something, He is not denying you. He is protecting you from receiving something you are not yet ready to carry. Because real wealth requires character. Real wealth requires discipline. Real wealth requires wisdom. And heaven refuses to bless you with something that would crush you if given too early. When God builds, He builds for permanence, for stability, and for impact. The world says, hurry, you must get it now or lose it forever. God says, wait, what I have for you cannot be lost. The world says, you're falling behind. God says, you're right on schedule. The world says, look at what everyone else has. God says, look at what I am preparing for you. You see, when success comes through human timing, it usually depends on pressure, strain, anxiety, and hustling to the point of exhaustion. You might gain something, yes, but you lose peace, you lose clarity, you lose yourself. And what good is wealth if it breaks the soul of the one who carries it? But when God elevates you, He gives you the strength to keep what He gives you. He gives you peace with your progress. He gives you clarity with your decisions. He gives you favor that multiplies your effort. This is why so many people who rise quickly through human effort end up falling just as quickly, because they have achievement but no anchor. They have success but no stability. They have money but no meaning. God's timing creates a wealth that grows from the inside out, not the outside in. It is internal transformation first, external manifestation second. Before God changes your circumstances, He changes you. Before He enlarges your territory, He strengthens your foundation. Before He opens the door, He prepares your character to handle the room you are about to enter. Imagine a tree. If the roots are weak but the branches grow tall, even the smallest storm will destroy it. But if the roots are deep, the tree can withstand any season, heat, cold, wind, drought, and still stand strong. This is what God does during the waiting season. He deepens your roots. He develops your patience. He sharpens your resilience. He grows your faith muscles. He trains your spirit to trust what your eyes cannot yet see. And while you think nothing is happening, everything is happening. While you think you are stuck, God is shaping you. While you think you are being overlooked, heaven is preparing your introduction. While you think things are moving slowly, God is aligning opportunities, people, and divine timing in ways you could never orchestrate yourself. The delay is not punishment, it is construction. The waiting is not wasting, it is preparation. The stillness is not silence, it is strategy. God's timing is like the rising of the sun. No one can rush it, delay it, stop it, or alter it. When the moment comes, light breaks through with force, with certainty, and with complete authority. In the same way, when your appointed moment arrives, blessings will unfold so naturally, so powerfully, and so undeniably that even you will know, only God could have done this. And here is the mystery. When God blesses you in His timing, the blessing is so perfect that it almost feels like it was waiting for you just as much as you were waiting for it. You step into opportunities that feel tailored. You meet people who feel sent. You experience breakthroughs that match your maturity, not your impatience. This is why your journey is not late, it is being aligned. Your breakthrough is not missing, it is being prepared. Your wealth is not denied, it is being perfected. God's timing brings a kind of wealth the world cannot manufacture. Wealth of peace, wealth of wisdom, wealth of purpose, wealth of impact, and yes, even financial wealth. But wealth you can keep, manage, grow, and use without losing yourself. When you trust God's timing, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start receiving. You stop worrying and start walking in faith. Because you understand that what is designed for you cannot be taken from you, rushed by you, or ruined by anyone else. And when the moment finally comes, and it will come, you won't just be blessed. You will be ready. There is a powerful shift that happens the moment you stop seeing life through the eyes of struggle and begin seeing it through the eyes of divine expectation. This shift is not just emotional, it is spiritual, mental, and energetic. Most people live every day with a mindset chained to survival. They wake up thinking, I hope I make it. They move through life expecting challenges, expecting delays, expecting disappointment, expecting lack. And what they expect? They attract. What they fear they empower. What they believe they become. But God never designed you to survive life. He designed you to rise in it. He designed you to walk with the confidence of someone who understands that heaven backs their purpose. Divine wealth doesn't begin in the bank. It begins in the mind. It begins when you stop seeing yourself as limited and start seeing yourself as someone God has chosen, equipped, and empowered for greatness. Survival thinking whispers, I don't have enough. Divine expectation declares, God is my source, and He never runs dry. Survival thinking says, I'm afraid to try. Divine expectation says, if God is with me, I cannot fail. Survival thinking focuses on what is missing. Divine expectation focuses on what is possible. This shift is not small. It is the difference between living a life of scarcity and stepping into a life of abundance. It is the difference between constantly chasing opportunities and becoming the kind of person opportunities gravitate toward. When you operate from a divine expectation mindset, you begin to see wealth not as something you chase, but something you align with, something you grow into, something you attract through faith, purpose, and spiritual authority. You were never meant to wake up every day worrying about bills, deadlines, problems, and what might go wrong. That is the mindset of someone who believes they are alone, someone who has forgotten that the creator of the universe knows their name, knows their needs, and knows their destiny. When you elevate your mindset, you elevate your experience. When you change your inner beliefs, your outer world follows. Most people don't lack resources, they lack the belief that resources will come. They don't lack talent, they lack the confidence to use it. They don't lack blessings, they lack the faith to expect them. God can pour out opportunities all around you, but if your mind is trained to see limits, you will walk right past the very doors He opened for you. Your mindset becomes the filter through which you interpret everything in your life. A limited mindset sees challenges, a faith-filled mindset sees opportunities, a survival mindset sees obstacles, a divine expectation mindset sees preparation, a defeated mindset sees endings, a God-aligned mindset sees new beginnings, and your results always follow your beliefs. You cannot expect to think like a prisoner and live like a king. You cannot expect to think like a victim and walk like a victor. You cannot expect to think like someone who barely survives and expect the life of someone who thrives. You cannot receive God-sized blessings with a fear-sized mindset. There comes a moment when God calls you to expand from the inside, to rise above your old fears, your old patterns, your old beliefs. This inner transformation is not comfortable. It stretches you, it challenges you, it often feels like you're being pulled beyond what you think you can handle. But that discomfort is the sign of growth. It is the signal that God is taking you somewhere higher. Divine expectation requires boldness. It requires courage. It requires a willingness to believe that the invisible world is more real than the physical one. It requires seeing blessings before they appear, speaking life before it manifests, and trusting that the God who started your journey will complete it with excellence. When you shift into divine expectation, you begin to speak differently. You stop saying, "I hope it happens," and start saying, "I know it's coming." You stop saying, "I don't know how," and start saying, "God knows exactly how." You stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "Through him I can." You stop saying, "It's impossible," and start saying, "With God nothing is impossible." This is not delusion, this is alignment, this is spiritual posture, this is faith at work, and faith is the currency of heaven. The moment you shift your mind into expectation, heaven begins moving in your direction. Doors you never knocked on begin to open. People you've never met start talking about you. Opportunities you didn't apply for begin searching for you. This is what happens when your mindset rises to the level of God's promises. Do you know why some people stay stuck for years even though they pray, work hard, and dream big? Because they pray with fear, not faith. They work from anxiety, not assurance. They dream from scarcity, not certainty. But when your mindset shifts, your energy shifts, your actions shift, your decisions shift. And suddenly, the things that once intimidated you become the very things you conquer. God did not bring you this far to live small. He did not plant dreams in you so they could suffocate under doubt. He did not give you gifts so they could be hidden by fear. He designed you to carry abundance, not lack, but the vessel of your mind must be prepared to receive it. God will not pour wealth into a mindset that expects loss. He will not send opportunity to someone who only expects failure. He will not elevate someone who refuses to believe elevation is possible. The moment you begin to walk with divine expectation, the moment you speak as though the blessing already has your name, the moment you visualize the future God promised you, the moment you shift from fear to faith, that is the moment everything around you begins to change. You don't need more time, you don't need more luck, you don't even need more resources. What you truly need is a renewed mind. A mind that expects favor. A mind that anticipates blessing. A mind aligned with God's abundance. Once your mindset shifts, wealth is not something you chase. It becomes something you attract. Something you grow into. Something you are prepared to carry. Because God's path to wealth does not begin with money. It begins with a mind ready to receive everything heaven has already prepared for you. Obedience is one of the most misunderstood and underestimated principles of divine elevation. Most people think obedience is about rules, restrictions, or limitations, but in reality, obedience is the master key that unlocks doors your talent, intelligence, and effort alone could never reach. There are places God wants to take you, blessings He wants to release, and heights He wants you to rise to. But the path to those places is often hidden behind instructions that don't always make sense at first. God rarely asks you to do something because it is easy. He asks because it is necessary. Because what He instructs you to do has less to do with the task itself and everything to do with the transformation happening inside you. Your obedience builds the character required for the next level. Your obedience proves your readiness. Your obedience aligns your heart with heaven's direction. Your obedience becomes the bridge between where you are and where God is calling you. Talent may open a door, but only obedience sustains the blessing behind that door. Hard work may attract opportunities, but only obedience positions you for divine opportunities, those supernatural breakthroughs that cannot be explained by logic, luck, or human effort. The truth is this: every major blessing in your life will require an instruction. Sometimes the instruction is clear. Sometimes it is gentle. Sometimes it is uncomfortable. And sometimes it feels like the opposite of what you want to do. But God never gives instructions to hurt you. He gives instructions to lift you. Think about the moments in your life when you felt a strong pull, a whisper, a prompting deep in your spirit. You didn't know why, but something inside told you, do this, go there, start that, let this go, forgive them, change direction, or wait. That inner voice wasn't your mind, it was your guidance system. It was God aligning you with what He has prepared. Human logic will often tell you to do the opposite of what obedience requires. Logic says, hold on. Obedience says, let go and trust. Logic says, fight back. Obedience says, be still. Logic says, you're going to lose. Obedience says, this is how you win. Logic says, you're not ready. Obedience says, step forward. This is why obedience is not for the faint-hearted, because it demands surrender. It demands faith. It demands that you believe God knows better than your fears, better than your doubts, and better than your limited view of the future. When God calls you to obey, He is not trying to control you. He is trying to position you. There are blessings with your name on them that can only be accessed at a higher level of trust. There are doors that will only open when you align fully with His direction. There are miracles waiting for your yes. The world teaches independence. God teaches alignment. The world teaches self-made success. God teaches spirit-led elevation. You can hustle your way to a certain level, but obedience takes you beyond human achievement into divine acceleration. When you walk in obedience, you step into favor that multiplies your effort. You step into opportunities that you didn't earn. You step into breakthroughs that don't add up mathematically. You step into outcomes that only make sense when you consider one truth. This is what obedience produces. Obedience is also a magnet. It attracts divine guidance, clarity, protection, and provision. When you obey, you create spiritual alignment. And in alignment, your path becomes smoother, your steps become guided, and your future becomes protected. There are moments when God will ask you to leave something familiar. A relationship, a habit, a place, a mindset, a comfort zone. Not to punish you, but because He knows that certain environments block your blessing. He knows some people only drain your energy. He knows certain habits keep your spirit weak. He knows certain ways of thinking limit your progress. Obedience cuts away what is hindering you so you can rise into what is meant for you. Sometimes obedience feels like loss, but it is always preparation for gain. Sometimes obedience feels like sacrifice, but it is always an investment into your future. Sometimes obedience feels like starting over, but it is always leading you into a new level of grace. God's instructions often come before the blessing, not after. The test comes before the testimony. The stretch comes before the success. The surrender comes before the elevation. Your obedience reveals your readiness. It tells heaven, I trust the path even when I don't see the finish. It tells God, I am willing to grow, change, and rise. It tells your spirit, we are moving to a higher level. When you obey, you break cycles. When you obey, you silence fear. When you obey, you weaken the power of doubt. When you obey, you strengthen your spiritual authority. There are blessings you have been praying for that will come the moment you obey the instruction God whispered long ago. There are opportunities waiting for your obedience. There are miracles tied to your willingness to say yes. God's path may look different. It may not make sense at first. It may challenge everything familiar. But the moment you walk in obedience, You activate the supernatural. You invite heaven into your journey. You transform your potential into destiny. And you unlock doors that no degree, no talent, no connection, and no human strategy could ever unlock. Obedience is not a small thing. It is the turning point. It is the unlocking mechanism. It is the signal that tells heaven, I am ready for the next level. And once you step into that level, nothing and no one can stop what God is about to do through you. There comes a moment in every person's life when they feel a deep, inner pull telling them to release something they've been holding onto for far too long. It might be a dream that no longer fits who you are becoming, a relationship that drains your spirit, a habit that weakens your discipline, or a belief that keeps you trapped in cycles of fear and limitation. Most people ignore that inner voice because letting go feels painful. But what they don't realize is this: you cannot receive what God has designed for you while your hands are still gripping what He never gave you. Letting go is not loss, it is alignment. It is not defeat, it is direction. It is not the end, it is the unlocking of a beginning you never imagined. Many people pray for abundance while tightly holding on to things that block abundance. They ask for a bigger life while clinging to small thinking. They ask for new blessings while refusing to release old burdens. They ask for divine elevation while staying connected to environments that suffocate growth. They want God to expand their world, yet their hands are full of everything that contradicts the expansion. This is why point 4 is so critical to wealth, elevation, and inner transformation. You must release what God didn't give you so you can receive what He designed for you. And this release isn't just physical, it is emotional, spiritual, mental, and even relational. Sometimes God allows certain things to fall apart because if they remained intact, you would stay exactly where you are. Sometimes He closes doors not to hurt you, but to redirect you. Sometimes He removes people not because they are bad, but because they cannot walk with you into the next dimension of your calling. Sometimes He delays something simply because the version of you that currently exists is not the version that can handle the blessing. The truth is, God does not take anything from you unless He is preparing to replace it with something better, stronger, higher, and more aligned with your destiny. But the exchange cannot happen until you loosen your grip. You might not realize it, but holding on to the wrong things takes up space in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, in your lifestyle, and in your emotional capacity. When your inner world is cluttered with what is not meant for you, the blessings meant for you have nowhere to land. Some people pray for clarity, but refuse to release confusion. Some pray for peace while holding onto conflict. Some pray for financial increase while staying attached to patterns that drain money. Some pray for new relationships while staying emotionally tied to old wounds. Some pray for purpose but continue saying yes to distractions. Letting go is not weakness, letting go is wisdom. It is acknowledging that not everything can follow you to every season. It is recognizing that elevation requires separation. It is understanding that God cannot fill what is already full. He cannot pour new wine into an old wineskin. He cannot bless hands that refuse to open. And here's the deeper truth most people avoid: holding on to the wrong things is a form of mistrust. It signals to God that you believe what you have, even if it is unhealthy, is safer than what He wants to give you. But when you trust His design, you begin to see that what He takes away is never a loss, it is a divine exchange. Think about the times you held on to something long after your spirit knew it was over. Holding on exhausted you, distracted you, drained you, and even delayed you. Meanwhile, the moment you finally released it, even if it hurt, you felt lighter. You breathed easier. You found clarity. You regained strength. That was not coincidence. That was alignment. Letting go does not mean you failed. It means you have matured. It means you have outgrown what once fit you. It means your destiny is calling you upward. And here is the powerful thing: when you release what God didn't design for you, you create spiritual magnetism. Suddenly, the right people appear, opportunities begin to flow, ideas spark, resources align, doors you could not open start opening on their own, because the moment your hands become empty, heaven begins to fill them. Letting go looks different for everyone. For some, it is ending a toxic friendship. For others, it is breaking a self-sabotaging habit. For others, it is releasing guilt, shame, regret, or the pain of the past. For some, it is walking away from environments where their spirit no longer grows. For others, it is releasing the need for validation, comparison, or control. Whatever your release looks like, know this: your next blessing is always on the other side of your obedience to release. Your future cannot begin until you stop fighting to keep your past alive. Your purpose cannot flourish until you stop watering what was never meant to grow. Your wealth cannot manifest until you stop investing energy into things that drain you instead of building you. Letting go may feel like you are walking into uncertainty, but what you are really walking into is alignment with God's perfect design. And alignment always brings increase, clarity, peace, and supernatural provision. One day you will look back and thank God that certain doors closed, certain people left, certain plans failed, and certain seasons ended, because without those endings, you would have missed the beginning He had prepared for you. Release is not rejection. Release is redirection. Release is protection. Release is preparation. And when you finally let go of what is not yours, God places into your hands what always was. Grace is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, yet most people never truly understand what it does in their lives. They think success comes only from effort, pressure, and endless hustle, but what they don't realize is this: when God's grace enters your journey, your small steps turn into supernatural breakthroughs. Things you once struggled for begin to flow. Doors you could not open begin to swing wide. What once felt impossible becomes your new normal, not because you suddenly became stronger, but because grace began to multiply what you were already doing. Grace does not replace effort, grace amplifies effort. Grace does not eliminate responsibility, grace enhances capability. Grace does not cancel the process, grace accelerates the process. It takes what you have, even if it's tiny, and breathes divine power into it. Many people live frustrated because they rely only on their own strength. They are exhausted because they are trying to do spiritual work with human force. They push and push, but the breakthrough never arrives. They hustle endlessly, but the reward doesn't match the effort. This is what life looks like without grace: heavy, draining, and discouraging. But when grace enters your life, everything changes. Suddenly, what used to take years begins to happen in months. What used to feel hard becomes easier. What used to intimidate you becomes manageable. And what once required your entire strength now unfolds with unexpected support, help, and favor. Grace is God placing His hand over your life. Grace is God multiplying the seeds you plant. Grace is God connecting your steps to divine timing. Grace is God taking your ordinary and turning it into extraordinary. Some people misunderstand and think grace is random, but grace is strategic. It flows where alignment exists. It moves where faith is active. It empowers those who are willing to step forward even when they feel unqualified or unprepared. God's grace does not require you to be perfect. It requires you to be willing. Even the smallest step, when done in faith, triggers heaven's response. Even the tiniest act of obedience, when done sincerely, attracts divine help. Even the quietest prayer, when done with a pure heart, activates supernatural movement. Grace transforms what you bring, even if you think what you bring is insignificant. Remember this: God has never needed much to do great things. A mustard seed of faith. A single stone in David's hand. 5 loaves and 2 fish. A simple yes from Mary. A hesitant step from Peter on the water. God doesn't ask for what you don't have. He asks for what you do have, and then He multiplies it. Grace takes your effort and adds divine power. Grace takes your gift and adds supernatural reach. Grace takes your progress and adds heavenly acceleration. It's like a small flame being connected to a limitless source of fire. Suddenly, what was weak becomes strong, what was small becomes impactful, and what was hidden becomes visible. That is the power of grace. Grace also protects you from the weight of success. Some people rise quickly but fall even faster because they climbed through sheer effort rather than divine empowerment. When you rise through grace, you rise with stability, you rise with wisdom, you rise with character, you rise with the maturity to handle what God gives you. Grace not only elevates you, it preserves you. It not only opens doors, it teaches you how to walk through them. It not only brings opportunities, it helps you handle them with clarity and strength. And here is one of the greatest truths. Grace gives you results that your effort alone could never justify. People will look at your success and feel confused because it won't match what you've endured or what you've done physically. It will surpass it. They will wonder, how did they rise so fast? Why did that door open for them? How did they find favor so easily? How did they accomplish so much with so little? The answer will be simple. Grace multiplied their effort. Grace does what connections can't do. Grace does what talent can't do. Grace does what education can't do. Grace does what human strength can't do. Where others struggle, you will glide. Where others wait, you will be accelerated. Where others fight for visibility, you will be highlighted without asking. Where others lose, you will win because the hand of God rests upon you. Grace is also healing. It heals your relationship with effort. It teaches you that you're not meant to live in burnout, striving, and survival. It teaches you that success is not meant to break you. It teaches you that abundance is not meant to demand your soul. It teaches you that you are not alone in your journey, you are partnered with heaven. And with grace, even your mistakes turn into lessons that elevate you. Your failures turn into stepping stones. Your weaknesses turn into testimonies. Your delays turn into divine redirections. Grace wastes nothing. Grace loses nothing. Grace enhances everything. And when grace is active in your life, you no longer fear the future, because you know you are not walking into it alone. You know every step you take is supported by a force far greater than you. You know your efforts are not fragile, they are empowered. You know you don't have to be perfect, you just need to be willing. You know that what seems small today will become great tomorrow. With grace, you move differently. You speak differently. You think differently. You expect differently. You rise differently. Because grace turns human effort into supernatural impact. And once you begin to walk in that flow, nothing can stop the elevator.